hot, but so good. So here goes the first one right there. Wow, this is crazy. So look at this. It almost fell off the truck, right? It's becoming difficult because since we use natural wood. Hey guys, welcome back to beautiful Nicaragua. It is your coffee brother here, back with another video. And we're here in my beautiful coffee farm that we're working on rebuilding. But here in the farm, we have one major problem. The farm's been abandoned for a number of years after my father and grandmother passed away. And now since the farm had been abandoned, all the buildings are starting to decay and fall down, which is bad news because we're trying to rebuild the farm and we have people living on site. I come stay here and we can't have that anymore. So we're about to start a series of projects that are gonna be a lot of work, but pretty exciting times here in the farm. Let me show you. The farm is really divided in two areas. We have area number one. Area number one, this is where the family that lives at the farm lives at. This area, this is where they live, cook, eat, and relax. And workers, when they come stay on the farm, they also stay here. This area has seen better days. It's also starting to fall down, but it's on our list to get it fixed. Now, area number two, this is what I consider our bare bones working area here. This is where we have our processing plant, but our processing plant is falling down also because it was made out of wood and it's been more than 25 years, and the water here in the tropical jungles has really done a number on it. But in this area number two, we have another building which has been our storage and working area for a number of years. And this is also where I sleep when I come to the farm. Now this building is in the worst conditions out of all of them. It's in really bad shape and it's falling down. So this is where we're gonna start first. I'm gonna show you where I sleep later in the video. Before we start bringing down the building, we need a covered area to work under because it rains so much here in the tropics, and we need to pull all this lumber out of the cabin. We picked this area of the farm that has a concrete slab that's been abandoned, and we've used it to stage some nurseries. We're gonna build a roof over that. Here's Victor, and Victor's gonna be in the videos. He's been here for 10 years, along with Brian. He's been here his whole life. So let's go ahead and get started with day number one. Good progress so far. We needed to leave this right here because this is actually organic pile of dirt that we're working on for our nursery, but the guys have been working hard. We're bringing this piece of concrete back to life. It's actually looking pretty solid. We're gonna get a hose and wash it down in the next few days. So this right here, this is bean soup directly from the farm. Ooh, hot, but so good. There's something about bean soup that is delicious. If you haven't tried bean soups, get on the plane and come to my farm and I'll give you some bean soup. It's just that good. Now for the structure, we will use wood harvested from the farm. Materials are expensive right now, and we want to use wood that's in the farm to, one, repurpose and reuse, and two, save costs. Time will tell how long these wooden posts will last in the ground, but at the end of this video, I'll share with you the total cost of the project. We spent the whole afternoon in day one pulling out enough lumber for the whole structure. Here you can see it. We peeled all the lumber and then we cured the base to make sure that we can get a couple of years out of them. You know, we're doing a lot of work here and we want to make sure that we can get ourselves covered from rain for a good amount of time while we build out the farm. Alright, we're ready now. We got the holes done. We got the posts ready. The concrete ready. So So it's a big moment right now. We're about to set the first post, and then we're gonna go along the lines here. So we're hoping everything turns out good, but these guys have been working hard so far. So here goes the first one right there. It's gonna be the foundation and the base where it's gonna sit. And now we're gonna go ahead and start placing all the posts. We have the first post set, and it's a big moment right now. It may not seem like a lot, but to me this post represents the future of the farm and us continuing our project to rebuild everything. So we got a lot more work to go, and let's get moving. Day 2 is in the wraps. Look at this, everything is looking amazing. It was a lot of work today, digging the holes, mixing the concrete. The team did an awesome job. I can't express enough how much I appreciate these guys. But look at that, super cool. Those trees are straight from the tropical jungles. It was hard to get them leveled because it is natural wood and they're all bent all kinds of ways, but we managed to make it work. So phase 3 now, day 3, we got to move forward. We got to finish the framing on top and then put the roof on the top, and we're almost there. We can move on to the disassembling of the bigger house. The bigger house. This was built years ago by my family. Here's a picture of my dad building it. As you can see, he was smiling. This was before he passed away. It's been standing ever since. This building has been standing for more than 15 years. It's really served its purpose. But now it's time to show it some love. Actually, let me show you where I sleep. The room was built with all the lumber that was harvested from the property. But because it was just built on the soil, it is starting to fall down and the conditions are pretty bad. The room has its own toilet and shower. And this is where I sleep right here when I come. The reason is because of the mosquitoes, scorpions, and spiders. I don't want them getting in, especially since the room is very gapped and is not sealed. The water does get in when it rains heavy. So it is due for major repair, and we have to show this room some love. This is my daily routine here, to brush my teeth, and then we get out to the farm to get moving and continue the mission to rebuild this farm. Starting a coffee farm is hard. I moved to Nicaragua and jumped into farming without having any experience at all. Can you imagine that, doing it yourself? It's been a huge learning curve. But what I will say though, is that this job here, I feel a lot more fulfilling rebuilding this farm than when I did in the States working for a company, which makes this life adventure totally worth it for me. This is the first time for me and the guys building anything like this. We are not builders, so as we go along here and you follow this channel, we're technically growing together. We're learning as we go. Our goal is, while we're building up the farm, to recycle and reuse materials available that's already in the farm. One, because it's cheaper, and building a farm is really expensive. So I need to make sure to make it profitable so I can have good conditions for the families living here and the workers, so the farm can be around for generations and generations to come. So I gotta make sure to produce some delicious coffee for you guys can drink, because if people buy the coffee, the farm keeps on running. Today on the menu for lunch here in the farm, we have beans that were harvested right here from these mountains, eggs from the chickens, rice, and fresh tortilla, along with the famous bean soup that I love over here. That's super delicious. Really good meal that we're getting over here to continue this project. So we're gonna chow down and move on to the next phase. Welcome to Ocotal, Nicaragua. So we're gonna go find the hardware store, and we're about to go buy the roof right now. We're not gonna buy the most expensive roof. We're gonna buy something that's okay quality, but will last a few years because this shelter is temporary while we build up the farm. Eventually we'll rebuild something more permanent, but for now, let's go buy that roof so we can finish this project and get tearing down that house that we gonna rebuild there. So here in Nicaragua, they don't have like a big Home Depot or big chains, but they have a lot of what they call ferreterias. So they're small hardware stores. Like if you're from the US, it'll be similar to Ace hardware stores that we're used to over there. But here's one right now that we can see. All right, it's all the materials here. So I'm gonna buy what they call a semi-standard. We're gonna buy 60 sheets of this right here. Should be good for what we're looking to do. There it is, 25,000 Cordobas. Equivalent to around $700 for that roof there. Should give me around 5 to 7 years of life. Let's go get loaded up.
La foto para el calendario. Para el calenducho. Para el calendario.
Ahí está. Pues lo sientan acá. All right, it's official. It's the last 6 sheets. We have a total of 60 here. It's holding up pretty well. I'm gonna tie it down and I'm hoping to have no problems on the road. But you can see the thickness here. Ahí está, muchachos. Gracias. Wow, this is crazy. So look at this. It almost fell off the truck right now because of the jumps here coming into the farm. It looks like this broke right here, and then it was starting to slide to the right. Thankfully, it didn't fall off. That would have been pretty bad actually, and probably would have dented the truck there. But we made it, and now we're gonna go ahead and start to unload, and we can start to go ahead and put the roof. Ahí va, este es el 28, ¿va? Sí, ese es. So we have a total of this 60 metal sheets for the roof here, and everything is looking like it's ready to go right now. With all the framing being done, concrete being poured, we just need to add the roof here. All right, we made some progress so far. It's becoming difficult because since we use natural wood, it's not 100% squared. So we're trying our best not to waste material, making sure that we can utilize as much as the sheets as we can. But so far, so good.
Grandpapa had a metal plate from his time served in the war. It used to pick up radio waves that he said were from the future. As little children we would gather round. To us he was a giant. But when it came to taking medicine, the man was not compliant. He'd tell me, wait, what would you say if I could build a little vessel that could take us to another time and place? What would you say if the burning of the engines could be powered by the smile?
All right, guys, we've been making good progress. As you can see, we got majority of the roof on there, but we've been running into problems. And part of the reason we're running into problems is because since we decided to use wood straight from the farm and not mill it to have it perfectly squared, we have areas that just dip down and then dip up. So sometimes the metal roof doesn't have an area where you can drill it. For example, let me show you right here. See that gap up there? We're gonna have to insert more wood to close the gap so we can drill it from the top. But in other areas, it touches just fine. Like right here, see, look, it's just fine. So we're having to work through that because our decision to use natural wood. But it's okay though, because it's looking good and it's gonna work. So that's what's most important. But we learned from this. It's the first time doing anything like this, and I think for the first time, it's looking pretty good there.
Would you follow me, follow me, follow me, follow me right away? He'd laugh and say, but I'm too tired for that one today. He took us fishing at the local dam. We would bite down from.
All right, guys, what do you guys think? A lot of work, not bad for the first time. It was very difficult to build with this kind of wood here because it's not milled, so it's not perfectly squared. So we had a lot of trouble adjusting everything and making sure the level was right, so when the rain hits, it drips over here and it runs through. What we were having an issue with is it was getting pulled up in the middle, so we needed a lot of spacers. We ended up putting spacers in the middle here, but we got the job done and we have the space ready, and the space is ready for us to continue to build on the farm. So super exciting time. Now let's talk about the cost. All right guys, now the big question, the answer I promised you guys here. How much money did we spend to build this warehouse here, this open concept warehouse? Well, let's start first off with the wood. The wood itself was harvested from the property, so $0 on that. We did spend money on concrete. We ended up using 6 bags. And here in Nicaragua, each bag's around $13 a bag. We spent around $75 on concrete. The most expensive part of this build was the metal sheathing on top. That should give us between 5 to 10 year lifespan. So this metal sheathing here cost us a total of $590. We only ended up using 50 sheets of the 60 that we bought earlier in the video that cost $700. After that, additionally, we spent some random numbers here on hardware stuff like the screws, drill bits, and miscellaneous tools to get the job done. We spent $200 on that. So total out the door to get this done here, total of $865. And now we have a roof over our heads to continue on to the next phase of the projects and continue this beautiful farm rebuild to produce some delicious coffee here in Nicaragua. These are exciting times in the farm. Hopefully you got to enjoy this whole video. This is what really goes on behind a cup of coffee when someone's trying to build a farm to produce coffee. And there's a lot of people here in Nicaragua that own farms, and they go through this on a daily. So hopefully you enjoyed seeing the action. Join the movement, because between us and the more people we can bring along, the bigger the difference we can make in the farm, more projects we can take on, and the more people we can caffeinate. I want to plant so much coffee and get coffee in you guys' hands so you can drink it in the morning and watch us from the farm, watch my friends plant coffee, and maybe even come visit us. I'll see you guys in the next part 2 where we disassemble this whole building and we start to build it up from the ground. Subscribe, like, and share.